Yeah, guys, not had a Monday rant for a while, and this is about, a lot of you probably will have seen the new documentary, Channel 4 I think it is, Dirty Business, about the waterworks, privatisation and the pollution that we put into our seas and rivers. Now, yeah, it is a hideous documentary, and for anyone who's got kids, for those people who've watched it, you'll know exactly what I mean. It just really hits home. But guys, I think people are taking away the wrong learning points. Now, I always say knowledge is power, and that is only when knowledge is applied. Now, what I mean is, it's clear that from the the narrative at the end that they are sort of trying to get across is that privatisation is a bad thing. Now, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but it was the environmental agency that weren't checking up these companies. Private companies are going to be scumbags and try and make as much money as possible. Hence why you are supposed to have, regulations in place. The environmental agency were deliberately not inspecting some sites. Category 1 and category 2 spills, the most serious. They themselves were letting the water companies report to them that it was only a category 3 or 4, so they didn't have to investigate. So I personally think it was the government that was far more to blame. You can't let someone report, mark your own test paper, of course. So it was, the private companies were to blame, but it was a private-public partnership, basically, sort of this stakeholder capitalism, mixture between big corporations and the state. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this, guys, is people I've spoken about this documentary, everyone is disgusted, and like I said, rightly so, whether they're left-leaning, right-leaning, whatever, everyone's disgusted. But the problem I have got is that they won't learn from this. Now, if you take anything from this, we've just recently seen the documentary Mr. Bates vs. the Post Office, is it? Then there was a film that really hit hard with me, Dark Waters, about the Teflon scandal. And then one of the biggest scandals ever to hit America, about OxyContin, a series with Michael Keaton called Dope Sick. Now, Dope Sick was about how Big Pharma lied about the how addictive OxyContin was. They just blatantly lied, and they had top politicians, the mayor of New York, like people who had no medical knowledge, just spinning this party line. Where have we heard that happen? Teflon, again, millions of people in the local village were getting cancer from the chemicals that the Teflon factory were putting into the water at the local town. Mr. Bates vs. the Post Office, a company was was basically blaming people for fraud, ruining their lives. Many people committed suicide when they were to blame. And then on this, dirty business, the water's been that polluted, many people have been dying, and none of these executives have been prosecuted. Now, like I said, guys, left or right, you must watch these and see when something like this happens. And this is my whole point about knowledge is only power if you use said knowledge. And yeah, I will go back to it, guys. COVID, like the shite that they were saying, like get the jab to protect your grandmother. My grandmother will get the jab, that will protect her. That is a perfectly logical thing to think. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to get it. Plus, since World War II, it's always been illegal to coerce anyone to get a medical treatment. You can only ever tell someone to get a medical treatment if it benefits them. You can't say you get this to benefit, them over there. And what I mean is, guys, like I said, left or right, everyone agreed this dirty business was hideous. But then so many people disagreed with me when something like this happened, when it happens live, in live time, with the COVID, when I was just asking questions. You know, a documentary like this documentary, Dirty Business, come out and people will have watched it and been like, why didn't people do something at that time? You know, who were these people who just blindly followed it and followed orders? And then when something happens in their time, they are the ones who blindly follow orders. It's just something, guys, like I said, yeah, I know I'm repeating myself, but knowledge is only power when you learn the lessons and apply them to your own life. You know, there will probably be a similar documentary as these made in 20 years' time about the farce that was lockdowns, masks, and the vaccines. You know, like they said, vaccines have always been to stop you catching something and stop you passing it on. And it's not conspiratorial, it's openly admitted. You know, you could still catch COVID and still pass it on with the vaccine. So for someone to say, well, okay, I don't need it then. Or for someone to say, oh, I've had COVID, so I've already got the antibodies. You know, they're perfectly reasonable, logical things that in a normal society people would say, oh, he's got a point to at least look into without, you know, shooting them down as some crazy conspiracy theorist. So guys, yeah, watch Dirty Business, but take away, you know, in my personal opinion, the main lessons from that isn't the evils of privatisation. It's when the government don't do anything to, you know, when they let these people get away with craziness. The Environmental Agency had the power to prosecute CEOs of these companies. None of them got prosecuted. What did they do? They just quadrupled the fee that they had to pay. So that's the one big thing, guys. And then the other main takeaway, the other massive lesson is you must stop instantly thinking that these people have your best interests at heart. I'm not saying go around questioning, you know, does gravity exist and stuff like that, but you know, like one of the main arguments I had during COVID was, well, the government, the BBC have said this. Wow, and you trust them people? You know, how many more of these Mr. Bates vs. the Postman, Dirty Business, Dark Waters, Dope Sick documentaries do you need to watch before you will actually think, oh, I'll use my brain on this and question things? That's all I'm saying, guys. Happy Monday.